various regions, and some of them ended up in this large cosmopolitan, mainly Gentile city of Antioch in what is now southeastern Turkey. We read, picking up in verses 19 to 20, "Now those who were scattered after the persecution that arose after Stephen traveled as far as Phoenicia, Cyprus, and Antioch, preaching the word to no one but the Jews only." And so the first thing, it goes on then to say, "But some of them," verse 20, "were men from Cyprus and Cyrene, who when they had come to Antioch spoke to the Hellenists, Gentiles, preaching the Lord Jesus." So the first thing that brought Christians to Antioch was what we would call providential circumstances that scattered them north in that direction. And then there were two other factors in the origin of the church we considered. The second factor was these unnamed witnesses. We're told that these scattered Christians were preaching the word. And some of them who were originally from Cyprus and Cyrene took the bold, groundbreaking step of speaking to the Hellenists, the Greeks, Gentiles, preaching the Lord Jesus. And then the third factor was the divine blessing upon their witnessing endeavors and activities. Verse 21, "And the hand of the Lord was with them, and a great number believed and turned to the Lord." So these were the factors involved in the origin of what was soon to become the first Gentile church. Well, this morning I want to pick up where we left off as we continue to consider this very important event. This entire passage, verses 19 to 30, and then bleeding on into chapter 13, and the comments about Antioch we have there, can be divided into four sections. First, in verses 19 to 21, we have the origin of the church at Antioch, and that's what we focused on last time. Then in verses 22 to 24, we have the endorsement of the church at Antioch by the church at Jerusalem, as they send Barnabas to investigate what has happened and to oversee the work. And then we have the consolidation of the church at Antioch, as Barnabas hunts down Saul of Tarsus, brings him to Antioch, where they together teach the church and establish them in sound doctrine and practice. And then we also have the validation of the church of Antioch as a true work of God. As we're told, when Barnabas came there, he saw something. What did he see? He saw the grace of God and was glad. He saw the grace of God, the Spirit at work among these people. And we're also given, both here and in chapter 13, a description of the various marks of a work of the Spirit of God, as we see it in this congregation, these people in Antioch. So this morning, what I want to do, I want us to at least begin to focus on the endorsement of the church at Antioch. And I say begin to focus because I only plan today to get so far as to take a close look at the man the church of Antioch, Jerusalem, sent up there, the man Barnabas. We read in verse 22, "Then the news of these things came to the ears of the church at Jerusalem." So word gets back to this very Jewish church in Jerusalem. Hey, do you folks here in Jerusalem know what's going on up in Antioch? They're preaching to Greeks up there, and rumor has it that some of those pagan Gentiles are getting converted. Now, it's not hard to imagine, if you've been reading through the book of Acts and you know all the dynamics at work, that this news from Antioch may have met with a mixed reception in the Jerusalem church. We have to remember that even after the account that we're given of the conversion of Cornelius in chapter 10 and in the first half of chapter 11, that there is still evidence we meet with later that there were still people in the church in Jerusalem who had certain prejudices toward Gentiles. And you can imagine someone saying, okay, we can accept Cornelius, but at least he was a God-fearer. He was a man who gave alms and prayed and was friendly to the Jewish people. But you're telling us now that in Antioch, they're actually going out and preaching the gospel to just anybody. And there's a whole crowd of out-and-out pagans, Gentiles, who are confessing Christ. What are we to think about this? Could this really be of God? So there may have been some uncertainty in a few of them in Jerusalem as to whether this was even proper. But I don't think it's right to conclude that an attitude of prejudice was the only reason or even the main reason that the church decided to send someone up to check things out. Actually, it was wise and proper for the church to do that, just as they had done earlier. You may remember they did this earlier in Acts chapter 8 when a spiritual awakening broke out in Samaria under the preaching of Philip. They sent Peter and John there to check things out and to give oversight to that work. Well, we see the same thing here as they send Barnabas to Antioch. There are some very legitimate questions the Jerusalem church may have had and ought to have had. They were good questions. Here are people who have gone out from among us. They're up there in Antioch now, and claims are being made about Gentiles being converted up there. Well, it's only wise and proper for them to investigate this. Is this true? Is this really happening? Are these conversions genuine?